Disney is huge, so it makes sense there would be some strict rules Disney stars have to follow, from what they can wear to how they can act and so much more. As such, it also makes complete sense that a lot of Disney stars haven't returned to the network. Here are the rules stars have had to follow. There is definitely a stigma associated with stars who are on the Disney Channel or who come from a Disney background, and it's that they're all goody-goodies. That's no accident, though, as stars are truly held to an incredibly high standard when it comes to morals and how they behave. In an interview with the New York Times, Selena Gomez, star of Disney Channel's Wizards of Waverly Place, explained how she needed a break from being put on a pedestal, saying, "I'm growing and changing. I was in a relationship and I was being managed by my parents, and I was still under Hollywood and Disney, and I was being held to this expectation of being the good girl."
Bad girl, no barking, just pout.
While the network definitely has a younger demographic, being forced to adhere to the good girl or boy image is a lot. Obviously, just about every show that's on the Disney Channel is rated PG or below. With such a young demographic, it makes sense that the network would prefer that their stars put on a clean, innocent vibe. Though Disney can certainly launch actors into stardom, having to always appear innocent can't be fun. Bella Thorne, who starred in the Disney Channel original series Shake It Up, told Nylon that she got sick of people telling her how to behave, saying, "Finally, when I got off the Disney Channel, I stopped listening to people telling me that I needed to be this and that. I literally would talk with a higher voice in interviews because that was the whole innocent Disney appeal." One of the most notable and well-known former Disney stars is Hilary Duff, who got her start with the channel by starring in the hit series Lizzie McGuire. The show was so popular that it also helped launch Duff's music career and is even being rebooted on Disney+.
It's me.
Basically, Duff is the perfect example of a Disney star who made it big after leaving the House of Mouse. But in an interview with PrideSource.com, she explained that she really needed a break after Lizzie McGuire because the show was so draining for her, saying, "I grew up in the spotlight and on tour and with everyone just knowing me and knowing me a certain way. I was just making records and touring and making movies and then doing it all over again. I basically did a cycle of that 4 times, and by the end of it, I was like, I'm done. I don't enjoy this anymore. I'm not who I want to be." Since so many Disney stars start out when they're young, many of them are still in school while they're also starring in their own show. In an interview with CBS this morning, former Disney Channel star Miley Cyrus explained that having to balance so much really threw her off.
I think now that I'm older, now I realize that's a lot to put on a kid.
Cyrus went on to say that while she had a good time filming Hannah Montana, she struggled with the workload. "I definitely look back on it as a good time. I think what was hard for me was balancing everything. I think it got harder when I started touring as both. I toured as Hannah Montana and as myself."
It's a lot to put on a kid to have them have to go get their makeup done and then also balance school.
Plenty of Disney stars grow up quite a bit during their time on the network. Naturally, one might think that most would have some say in their shows, but that doesn't seem to be the case. They don't actually get to have much, if any, creative freedom or control, no matter how old they are. In an interview with Vulture, Dylan Sprouse, who starred alongside his twin brother Cole on the Disney Channel series The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, explained that it was a big part of why the pair quit Disney. He said, "I mean, we had a really awesome idea for where the show needed to go. We were 18. If that isn't old enough to know exactly what the show needs, then, well, I would beg to disagree. I don't think Disney were willing to work with us, really ever, so we stopped the show." Disney stars work hard to put out content and shows that they know their viewers will love. Of course, acting is just part of the job with the Disney Channel, and maintaining a public image of being good, positive, and G-rated is another aspect to being a Disney actor. In fact, the company is so strict about how their stars behave off-camera that former Disney star Bella Thorne got in major trouble for being spotted wearing a bikini at the beach, and one that her mom picked out at that. In an interview with Tom Ward, Thorne explained that she was at the beach wearing a bikini that her mom had picked out for her, and because the bikini was thought to be, quote, skimpy, she almost got fired from Disney.
They said, "You're lucky that Bella has such a fan base that we can't afford to fire her at this moment in time."
The star and her mom were also told that if she, quote, does one more other thing, she would be fired. Yikes. It's an undeniable fact that Disney stars work incredibly hard, but they're also sometimes forced to work through some pretty traumatic experiences, and it seems like they aren't given much choice in the matter. In an interview with Marie Claire, Miley Cyrus spoke of a time during her Hannah Montana days when she was forced to show up on set after an unfortunate first period experience involving white pants. She explained, "It was so embarrassing, but I couldn't leave, and I was crying, begging my mom, 'You're going to have to put the tampon in. I have to be on set.'" Cyrus explained that she started having anxiety around that time, saying, "I would have anxiety attacks, I'd get hot flashes, feel like I was about to pass up or throw up. It would happen a lot before shows, and I'd have to cancel." Though most Disney Channel stars are young when they start out, some don't get their start until they're teenagers. So it's understandable that stars would get a little frustrated with having to act in a show meant for a younger audience.
I didn't come all the way from Fort Hood in Texas to be a babysitter. I came to New York to follow my dreams, because this is where dreams come true.
Yeah, right.
But according to one former Disney actor, being older meant having to appear younger, and it got old real quick. In an essay for Vulture, Joe Jonas wrote about how he got frustrated with the work he was doing, saying, "But the thing about the show was that some of the writing on it was terrible. It just ended up being some weird slapstick humor that only a 10-year-old would laugh at. I had to shave every day because they wanted me to pretend like I was 16 when I was 20. When the show was done, I cut my hair off and grew as much of a beard as I could." Clearly, Disney likes its stars young-looking, period. While most celebrities tend to always look great when they go to red carpet events, they usually get a break every now and then when they don't have to project a certain image. But for Disney stars, that break doesn't really happen. In fact, Disney stars pretty much always have to be on, and it can be seriously draining for the young actors on the network. In an interview with Marie Claire, Miley Cyrus explained that she was constantly getting her hair and makeup done for her role on Hannah Montana. She said, "From the time I was 11, it was, 'You're a pop star. That means you have to be blonde, and you have to have long hair, and you have to put on some glittery tight thing. Meanwhile, I'm this fragile little girl playing a 16-year-old in a wig and a ton of makeup. It was like toddlers and tiaras. Looking great definitely takes a lot of work." While it isn't necessarily a requirement for stars to also have a thriving music career, it's certainly a pattern for someone who appears on the Disney Channel to also release a few singles or albums.
But seriously, you have an amazing voice. You're a singer, right?
As Shia LaBeouf told MTV News about his time on the channel, the network really pushed for him to go into music. He explained, "I went a whole different route. I never came out with a music thing, even though Disney will push you that way. I didn't just want to be a churn 'em out guy. I never really felt like I fit in there." Disney seems to love having the stars of its shows also release music. And while stars like Miley Cyrus and Selena Gomez have gone on to have great careers in the music industry, LaBeouf clearly didn't want to be a part of that. With so many successful actors who got their start on the Disney Channel, it's somewhat shocking that the network would feel the need to force their stars to compete so overtly. However, according to one former starlet from Disney, there was an on-air cutthroat intensity between everyone at Disney. In an interview with J14, Bella Thorne explained that it was really intense between her and her Shake It Up co-star Zendaya, saying, "Zendaya and I were put in a very unfortunate position where we were kind of forced to compete against each other, which made the whole first season of the show just very awkward for us. We wanted to love each other, but yet we were constantly being put against each other. It was who's better at this and who's better at that." Though Disney certainly has a large conglomerate of shows, movies, and even networks, that doesn't necessarily mean that once you're in, you're in. Disney certainly isn't as into nepotism as you might think. As Alison Stoner revealed on an episode of the Nighttime Show podcast, she was constantly having to audition for roles despite already having appeared in several projects.
It's time to show them what we're made of.
According to the star, the assumption is that once you're in with Disney, you're in. But I still auditioned for every single thing I got with them. In fact, I was still sent on first calls with people who had never been on an audition in their lives, up until the end, which was, kind of frustrating. Stoner went on to explain that while she was grateful for the work, she was still frustrated with Disney's process, saying, "I've been on 12 shows for you, and I'm coming in here auditioning for 3 different roles and not getting any of them, and it's almost like you don't know who I am or what I'm capable of." Talent and experience aside, apparently you'll always have to audition for Disney shows, no matter who you are.
Disney Channel is holding an open casting call, and you can audition to be on Disney Channel? Sweet.
Though Disney Channel doesn't force young stars into relationships, according to a certain Jonas brother, they might force you to stay in one you don't really want to stay in. As Joe Jonas expressed to Vulture, his relationship with his Camp Rock co-star Demi Lovato wasn't exactly something he was into. He said, "One relationship that meant a lot to fans was the one I had with Demi Lovato, who I've known for years. We had been friends forever and fans liked seeing us together. We eventually dated for a month." Jonas went on to say that things got worse once Lovato's drug use intensified. "I was living a lie because I wasn't happy but felt like I had to stay in it for her because she needed help. I couldn't express any of that, of course, because I had a brand to protect." Navigating the teenage dating scene is hard enough, but when you work for Disney, apparently it includes doing it for publicity as well. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more list videos about your favorite stars are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.